CBS News now projects that President-elect Joe Biden has won the state of Arizona. He leads President Trump by around 11,000 votes there, with the vote count nearly complete. The victory extends the Democratic majority in the electoral vote. Cindy McCain, wife of the late Arizona Senator John McCain, is a member of the Biden Transition Advisory Board. She was one of the biggest Republican names to support the next president during the campaign. And Cindy McCain joins us now from Phoenix. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning.
Joe Biden becomes the first Democrat in more than 2 decades to flip Arizona. A lot of people think your endorsement played a big role in that. Why do you think the president-elect was able to do this at this moment?
Well, first of all, it wasn't just me. There were many of us that got behind Joe Biden, as you know. I think the time right now is people were looking for the opportunity to have compassion, to have empathy, to have leadership, to have someone that put country before party. And that's who Joe Biden was. This White House has totally lost track of that completely. And so that's why.
Cindy, many Republicans are not publicly acknowledging Joe Biden's victory. Have you talked to any of the Republican leadership about this, and do you think this might change anytime soon?
Oh, of course, I think it will change. And for this reason, because we have gone through the process, we have determined that nothing illegal or anything else had happened, and he's been declared the winner. So with all due respect to those who were on the opposing side of all this, it's time we get behind Joe Biden as our next president and make sure that he has the transition money, has the opportunity to meet with the people with regard to the pandemic, et cetera. So we can get this ball rolling and make sure he hits the ground running in January.
One of the people who has not yet congratulated Joe Biden so far as we know is Senator Lindsey Graham, who was a friend of your late husband's, who's also a friend of Joe Biden's. Are you surprised by that? Have you spoken with him?
I have spoken to Lindsey, but not about this. I have a new grandbaby, so that's why he called me. No, I think Lindsey is certainly, it's his own prerogative to do whatever he sees fit. He's a good friend of mine. He's like a member of my family. So I love him regardless.
As a member of your family, Cindy McCain, I think you need to take him in a private room and have a little private chat with Senator Graham. But I have to, people are listening to you. But I like in the letter that you wrote with the paper in Arizona the other day, you said, I know what it's like to lose when the outcome doesn't go your way, but I also remember John's example back in 2008 and the example that he set. President Obama also mentioned John McCain in a very gracious way. He's certainly in his book. Can you remind us again what John McCain did back then and why it's important that we follow that again in 2020?
Well, as you know, we lost, but John believes, like I think all Americans do, that it's time to move on. There was a free and fair election. There are winners and losers. We knew that chance at the beginning of it, and we did not prevail. But it's very important to remind the American people that we must come together, heal our differences, and move on for the good of the country. And that's really not only the message my husband gave, but what he truly believed in his heart.
You said that he said democracy is at stake here, and democracy should always prevail.
Correct. You're exactly right. And he believed that. As you know, he lived his entire life by the code of conduct and the belief in free and fair elections and democracy, most of all. That's the gracious good of our country.
Cindy, as we said, you're part of the president-elect's transition advisory team. Has the transition been affected in any way, as far as you can tell, by President Trump's refusal to concede to this point?
Oh, no. President-elect Biden has moved on. The transition team is in full force right now. We are all working together to make sure that he has an administration that represents all people. It's really fun to be a part of, and it's fun to watch happen as well.
You know, we should also point out that 72 million people voted for President Donald Trump. That is no small number. What do you think? So he clearly has strong support in this country. What do you think Joe Biden needs to do to reach out to them? He says he's going to do that, but what would be your message on that?
Well, I don't need to give him the message because he always practiced it. As you know, he and my husband worked together across the aisle for many, many years. That's who Joe Biden is. So I don't believe anyone needs to tell him. He's going to do what he knows is right, and that is work together for the good of the country.
Cindy McCain, thank you so much for joining us this
Thank
morning.
you.
We really appreciate it. Good luck with the
Thank you.
transition.